Imagine this. July 20th, 1969, mankind supposedly makes its giant leap with the Apollo 11 moon landing. But did it really happen, or was it an elaborate hoax? Let's delve into a world of intrigue and mystery as we unpack the idea of the moon landing hoax. This concept isn't new. It's been floating around since Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin allegedly took those first steps on the lunar surface. A group of individuals, known as moon landing skeptics, have been questioning the authenticity of this monumental event, pointing out a series of inconsistencies and peculiarities that they believe indicate a grand deception. One of the key arguments that have kept the skeptics community buzzing is the flag-waving debate. Footage from the moon landing shows the American flag fluttering as if caught in a breeze. But wait a minute, isn't the moon's environment devoid of wind? How then, skeptics wonder, could the flag wave? Then there's the question of the moon landing shadows. The skeptics argue that the shadows cast by the astronauts and objects on the moon's surface don't line up with the single light source, the sun. They claim that this discrepancy is evidence of artificial lighting, a hallmark of a possible movie set. Lastly, we cannot ignore the argument of the lack of moon footprints. The skeptics point out that the moon's surface, covered in a layer of fine lunar dust, should have retained clear footprints from the astronauts. Yet, in many of the photographs provided by NASA, these footprints are conspicuously missing or not as distinct as one would expect. These arguments have sparked decades of debate and conspiracy theories. The rumblings of doubt have echoed throughout the years, creating a divide between the believers and the skeptics. But what does NASA have to say about this? As we venture further into this cosmic controversy, let's keep our minds open to all possibilities. After all, the truth is often stranger than fiction. Join us as we continue to explore this interstellar mystery in our next segment. Diving into the skeptic's point of view, there are a few key arguments that often come up. Let's unpack them, shall we? First, we have the flag-waving debate. Skeptics argue that the American flag, planted by the astronauts, appeared to be waving in the vacuum of space. They claim this is impossible as there's no air in the moon's atmosphere to cause the flag to flutter. An intriguing point, certainly, but is it conclusive proof of a moon landing hoax? Next, we delve into the moon landing shadows. Critics say the shadows cast by the astronauts and objects on the moon are inconsistent with a single light source, the sun. They argue that some shadows seem to intersect at odd angles, suggesting multiple light sources akin to a film set. Others point out that despite the sun's intensity, astronauts in shadows aren't plunged into pitch darkness. They suggest this is evidence of extra, hidden sources of light. Finally, we come to the lack of moon footprints. Some skeptics ask why there are no visible footprints in certain photos from the moon, despite the astronauts' lunar boots clearly designed to leave distinctive marks. They argue that the absence of footprints in some photos is evidence that the moon landing was staged here on Earth. These arguments, while compelling on the surface, have been scrutinized by experts worldwide. From physicists to astronomers, many have weighed in on the debate, providing scientific explanations for each of these perceived anomalies. Yet, despite the counter-arguments, the moon landing skeptics remain unmoved. So, are these skeptics onto something? Or are these anomalies simply the result of our limited understanding of the lunar environment and the technology of the late 60s? These are compelling arguments, but they have been met with equally compelling counter-arguments from NASA and other space agencies. We'll dive deeper into NASA's response in the next segment. Stay tuned. In response to these theories, NASA has maintained its stance that the moon landing was indeed real. NASA has always been ready with scientific explanations to address the questions raised by moon landing skeptics. Let's delve into NASA's responses to these well-known hoax theories. Firstly, the flag-waving debate. Some skeptics argue that the American flag appeared to be fluttering in the moon's airless environment. NASA explains this by reminding us of the physics involved. The flag was fastened to a horizontal rod, and once it was unfurled, it stayed in that position. When the astronauts were planting it, they inadvertently caused the flag to sway, giving the illusion of a breeze. The moon's lack of atmosphere and different gravitational conditions than Earth mean that this swaying motion would last longer than it would here on Earth. Regarding the moon landing shadows, NASA has stated that uneven lunar surface and multiple light sources, including light reflected off the Earth, can distort shadows. The moon's surface isn't a flat plane, it's filled with hills, craters, and rocks, all of which can create odd shadow angles when lit from any light source. Moreover, professional photographers will tell you that shadows on film can look quite different from what we'd expect to see with our naked eye. Especially when you're dealing with the harsh, unfiltered light in space. Lastly, the lack of visible footprints in some photos has raised eyebrows. The explanation here is quite simple. The lunar dust, also known as regolith, is extremely fine and behaves differently from the sand or dust we have on Earth. Depending on the angle of the light and the depth of the boot imprint, some footprints might not appear as clearly as others in photographs. NASA has consistently provided scientific explanations to debunk these theories, yet, the debate continues. Despite the overwhelming evidence, there will always be those who choose to question the moon landing. The quest for truth, after all, is a journey that may never end. Despite the counter-arguments, the moon landing hoax theory continues to thrive. Why is that? Well, the answer might lie in the very fabric of human nature. We are, after all, creatures of curiosity and skepticism. It's this skepticism that fuels our quest for truth and knowledge, prompting us to question everything, even the seemingly unquestionable, like the moon landing. The moon landing hoax theory also thrives because of a growing mistrust in institutions. When faith in these bodies wanes, alternative theories begin to gain traction, regardless of their credibility. The flag-waving debate, the moon landing shadows, the lack of moon footprints, all these elements provide fodder for the skeptics and keep the debate alive. Whether you believe in the moon landing or consider it a hoax, it's clear that this debate will continue to intrigue us for years to come. Remember to subscribe and like this video for more engaging content.